and welcome to Political Paradigm, live on Channels Television. I am Kayla Magwa. 2024 is a very interesting year, and as it rounds up, the Tinubu administration should be looking back. Cabinet reshuffles, massive defections to the All Progressives Congress, the ripple effects of the president's removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira hit the Nigerian directly in 2024. The End Bad Governance protest, local government autonomy, an inflation rate of 34.6%. 2024, in many ways, was a year many Nigerians would love to forget. But we are told that there is hope. But is there really hope? And with all that's going on, how is the All Progressives Congress planning to win the 2027 general elections? We also talk about ECOWAS and politics in West Africa on today's edition of the program. And joining us to talk about all of this and more is a special assistant to President Bola Tinubu on public affairs, Mr. Aliyu Audu. Mr. Audu, welcome to Political Paradigm.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, Nigerians.
Let's start with the major topic of the day right now, which is the budget. Of course, we're expecting that presentation tomorrow. At least
Yes.
That's what we heard from FEC.
Yes.
So let's look at the budget. Many people have said that this budget, if the Tinubu administration actually wants to show that it stands behind the Nigerian people and understands what they've been going through, they would make the 2025 budget the budget of the common man. What are your thoughts on that?
That's exactly what it is. I mean, quite frankly, with the tax reform, we that can't be said enough. It shows that all of the institutional reforms, all of the structural changes that's got to happen to our national economics have shown from the macroeconomic indices that they are right and they are yielding the right results. So the next thing for the government is to bring this home, to the lives of the average Nigerian, and I mean that's where we start looking at the microeconomics, which is what the budget is actually aimed at doing, improving the welfare of the people, increasing the purchasing power of the people. I mean, just before the budget, we expect that the moment the tax reform bills are passed into law, and that comes about the same time the budget is taken off, it's going to have like ripple effect on the positive side, in the lives of Nigerians.
It's a larger figure than 2023, but from a mathematical point of view, if you juxtapose it with the value of that amount in 2023, it might even be lesser in value than that of 2023, which begs the question, what's the plan for this budget? What is it supposed to address?
We like you rightly said, it's been a very rough year, and it's rightly so because Mr. President took over at a time that a lot needed to be done. We were lying to ourselves on many fronts, and we're burying too much under the carpet, that we all know at some point it's going to come out and consume all of us. All we needed was a leader who was brave enough, understand economics enough, understand the need to fix this in the quickest time enough to put all of the right stops and get us moving in the right direction. The expected hit on the lives of every citizen, it's like I said, it's expected. We're not going to make that turn without feeling some form of difficulties. We have reasons to believe that we're just about making that turn. So the year 2025 should usher in a huge level of relief in the life of Nigerians.
Economic relief?
Economic relief. So we expect a boost.
How so?
Yes, there's going to be an improvement in productivity. We expect both the oil sector and the non-oil sector to improve significantly. We expect that the manufacturing industry kicks up. We expect that jobs are created. We expect that the entire agricultural value chain, a whole lot is expected to kick off. To actually take effect at that time, creating jobs and creating wealth within the economy and generally increasing the purchasing power of the average Nigeria. And with the tax reform, which aimed at reducing tax burden on companies, reducing tax burden on citizens. I mean, we are going into a year where the tax reform is going to show that about 90% of employees, both in private and the public sector across the country, will witness a significant reduction in how much that they are being taxed currently. I mean, as a matter of fact, a large number of people are going to be, paying zero, as far as whatever form of taxes. This is all in a bid to improve, what they have at hand to spend, and to improve the small businesses who needs to keep going. I mean, we're coming from an era where businesses are taxed even when they don't make profit. With the tax reform, proposed tax reform, all that is going to change. We're coming from an era where big companies are taxed so much, and we still have other tax, other levies, embedded in some form of agency levies, development levies, and all of that. This tax reform is just going to reduce all of that, bring about improvement in our economic activities, bring about improvement in job creation, bring about improvement in small businesses, medium businesses, and in general welfare of the people.
What was the target for the 2024 budget? Because this is the second budget under the Tinubu administration. What did the 2024 budget seek to address? And did it address that before the end of this year?
Oh, yes. The macroeconomic indices shows that, yes, it did address that. I mean, we needed to subject our economy to the loss of forces of the market, loss of demand and supply, as against all of those push and pull, those, business of, I mean, basically seeking rental that we were used to, where people just make a whole lot from the system without adding any value. That came with its own challenges, like we've all witnessed. But we're at the point where all of the posts, all of the indicators, are on the green. They show that at the macroeconomic level, we are moving in the right direction. But we need to translate this home. We need to translate this into the lives of the citizens. That is what we expect the 2025 budget will do.
I mean, it's a very precarious situation because we keep hearing about the statistics. The macroeconomic level is doing well. Unemployment has increased. The unemployment rate rather has reduced.
Yeah.
We keep hearing these figures, but then I check my pockets. It's not there. I look around me. It's not there. So you're saying in 2025 with this new budget, it's supposed to now make these figures tangible to the Nigerian?
Exactly.
We'll have you again.
I will always be here.
Okay. Let's move on to the Tinubu administration and, of course, the ripple effects of a lot of the policies of government. You've stated in the course of our conversation today that these were necessary steps and that we needed to subject our economy to the world economy, so to speak. Let us actually know who we really are and where we really stand. We get that. However, the purchasing power and quality of life of the Nigerian took a hit. It took a hit in 2023, a deeper hit in 2024. In 2025, is this the same thing we're going to see? Is it going to get worse, as we're hearing from many quarters?
No, it can't be worse. I mean, I'm confident enough to say that even Mr. President has said it, that the worst is over. We're at that shift, we're at that bend. And you realize that the initial steps that is aimed at fixing the structural system of our economy, had severe impact on the purchasing power of the average Nigerian. However, when that took off he's been there for about 18 months now, and in the last few months, he's seen reason, to look at the post, to look at the results and said, okay, this is working well. So right now, let's deal with the challenges that came with fixing this problem. We had a bigger problem to fix. I mean, we're going bankrupt if we're not already bankrupt.
I mean, dealing with the challenges that came with those policies, in what way? What's he going to do? Job
creation, boosting economic activities.
When manufacturing is at an all-time low, how are you going to boost job creation?
Now, you'll find out that, for instance, the 75 billion injection into the manufacturing sector, about 50% of that has been disbursed, and the many ones have been processed now for disbursement to the beneficiaries, and we expect that, add value to the economy. Then we have all of the reforms in oil and gas, bringing out positive reforms, positive results. You've heard about the Shell 5 billion investment in Bonga North, and it's all coming together, but just like the reforms, every other thing has to be holistic. We can't close up like 50% and open ourselves up on the other side of 50%. It will leak out, so we need to keep these businesses in. We need to attract more business, and our tax system has been, far away from the global standard. Normalizing that will keep the business who are already here and attract new businesses. All of this will create jobs. That same tax reform seek to reduce tax burden on individuals. Anybody, any business, any turning over about 50 million per annum is exempted from whatever kind of tax. And this is only to reduce, pressure on the end consumers, as whatever it is they earn from wherever they are earning to, the payee, all of that have been asked to be removed, for certain level. As a matter of fact, we have just about the 10% of the population who will now pay, a little more than what they used to pay. About 90% down will pay less, and about 50% or more will pay zero, as a matter of fact. This is all in a bit like government is not really interested in stressing the people or pulling money out of people, but we have a system that needs to be fixed. Now that the system shows that it is working, it is time now to look into the welfare of the people on individual levels, create jobs, increase the purchasing power of the average Nigerian, and that will translate into improved well-being.
That's something to look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah, we look forward to it.
So let's take a look at these tax reforms. Will these tax reforms even see the light of day?
Oh, yes, it will.
Because we were so certain that it was going to happen, and then all of a sudden we saw the kickback from the northern governors. Then we saw the NEC, the Economic Council, kicking back against it. Then no, it has to go through the process. Then it went into the National Assembly. Oh, then the back and forth began. And it went on and on and on and on and on. And now here we are. It's not dropped, but consultations are ongoing. These consultations, how long will they take? And really, in the presidency's mind, at least you're a spokesperson for the president, do you think you will have the backing of everyone, especially these northern governors, on these tax reform bills, with all of the questions that they've raised about the derivation issue?
I'll be honest with you. You can't have the buy-in of everyone, but when something is good, it is good. You expect that the majority of those that matter, will give it the required backing. And I'm confident it will pass, because it's all good for everybody. I understand that there's a bit of hesitation from governors of state that have, low-earning employees, that cost, to be honest with you, that's the real concern of these governors. What the tax is basically telling them is, in some states, they probably won't get anything from their payee. Because it's simply saying if your employees are not earning as much as this, they don't collect anything from them. It's already hard enough. Because Mr. President knows that these employees are spending over 1,000 naira a litre to fuel their car, and the 1,000 a litre is as a result of the removed subsidy. And the removed subsidy has increased the governor's take home. That is the money that is allocated, federal allocation that is allocated to the governors. So it is very fair, it is fair on the side of the reform, the tax reform, to say, okay, there's been increment in what you get from the center. Can we reduce what you get from the ordinary people in your state?
In other words, look within, find a way to create money in your state.
Which basically means that if I'm earning $500,000 a month and you can't tax me much, it means if you increase my value and I start earning $750,000 a month, you might be able to, get something off me. That's because you're adding value to me, which is what you are supposed to do at some national level. You have this huge amount coming from federal allocation. You're supposed to create activities within your state that add value to your citizen. That is what you are taxing. There's already pressure from the citizen, who have to pay more for gas, who have to pay more for electricity. All of this coming from the reform that is fundamental to our collective growth. But what about giving them some relief by reducing what you currently get from them as a state governor, as a state government, or increase the value so that, I mean, we look at Lagos, for instance, and we understand through the reforms. It's a state that used to earn IGR of about 600 million a month. They are talking about close to 55 billion a month today. Something happened. Can the other state copy same? Yeah, you have. I mean, we all have a whole lot of comparative advantage. I mean, areas that we can do that. So the state should actually look inward and add values, as against collect federal allocation, call the BDC guy in zone 4 and make changes and stock in your bed and cause problem for all of us. What about putting that federal allocation where it's supposed to be? Construction, agricultural mechanization, hospital building, school building. When you put this where it's supposed to be, this will generate economy. I mean, you can't come and receive 15 billion, 12 billion, 13 billion, and you just go change it to USD and put in your purse and create problem for the entire country.
Is there a law against them doing that?
Yeah, it's not their money. The money is for the state.
Is there a law saying they shouldn't send those monies to BDCs? I'm asking that.
Are you asking? Is there a law that says you should spend money that belongs to the public?
I'm not condoning it. All I'm saying is, if you do have proof that there are governors, in your words, who are taking FAC allocation and giving it to BDC and speculating in dollars and doing business, why haven't any of them been arrested? Why hasn't the administration picked them out?
For starters, yeah. The anti-corruption agencies are doing what they're doing, and
have any of them been reported for doing it?
Let me remind you that every sitting governor's got immunity. So let's put that.
The ones that have left office after doing that,
and you see that they're being charged. There are ongoing cases. I mean, the EFCC this year has recovered about 300 and something.
Are there governors under this administration that are doing this? Does the administration have proof that there are governors under its rulership that are sending money to BDC, FAC allocation that is supposed to be for state development, sending it to BDC? If the FCT, I said the FCT administration, if the Tinubu administration has proof that this is going on, why haven't they spoken up against it? They speak up against the act, but they don't call out the person who's doing it.
You understand that there are different there are different arms of government with different responsibility. That there are different agencies, departments, and ministry within the government who are charged with different responsibilities. It is not in the government's place to speculate, right? From the tax reform that brought us to this conversation is the fact that if any state governor in the last 12 months at least who has been earning more than twice of what they used to earn has been injecting that fund into the development of their state, Kyle, are you telling me we won't say it? We will say it. Even if you don't build, even if you take it and share it for your people to drink pepper soup or eat suya, we will say it. There is only one way we don't say it, because it's used to purchase forex and stock under the bed. So it is moved, it hits us in two ways, in multiple ways, as a matter of fact. It takes money that's supposed to be used to grow our economics, and it mops up dollars from the system and kept outside of the system because, you want to grow this stolen money.
I mean, wrong as it is, my question, and I still haven't gotten an answer to that question, is if there's proof that someone under this administration is doing this,
why
wouldn't an administration that we have looked at for calling people out? You were the people who called people out on their bad behavior.
And the EFCC.
So if there is someone doing this, I would have thought that your office at least will say, look, so and so person is doing this.
There are agencies that are charged with that responsibility, and I think as difficult as it is, they are doing a good job at that. We have over 300 billion recovered, over $106 million recovered, and assets and everything being recovered. It's a difficult thing to do if you understand how we are. I mean, this has nothing to do with this government. It's been government after government, right? But I think it's about us, the Nigerian people. It's about what the Nigerian dream should be. It's about what people go into public offices for. We have some sort of wrong set of people who go into public service, because, they get in there, they don't know or they don't have what is required to deliver there. All they look at the problem. They don't even believe that the problems are surmountable. So all they try to do is to accumulate wealth so as to insulate themselves from the implication of the job they are not doing when they leave office. You know, that's why it's easy for people to come out of office and, you know, whining and complaining and seem to, you know, suddenly found their voice as to what is right or what is wrong. But, you know, it is different, you know, when people actually understand what a good life is. I mean, that's the topic for a broader discussion. Like, we as a people, as a nation, we are going to have to come to a point where we understand that, you know, good life is not defined by the bank account.
I mean,
the countries we run
you
to.
You brought up the issue of corruption. I was going to get to that later. But one of the criticisms really of the Tinubu administration is that there are two issues that aren't exactly explicitly mentioned in its agenda. One of them is security and the other one is corruption. As much as it doesn't mean that nothing is being done in those areas, but, you know, the Tinubu administration was the economy, at least in the mind of the common man. This was the man going to come and fix
So you
our
said
economy. Security and corruption.
Now let's get
when it comes to corruption. You have your time. When it comes to the war against corruption under this administration, it's because you brought it up.
Let's talk about
We're seeing all of these recoveries from the EFCC. We're seeing the largest arrest of suspected crypto fraudsters happened, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Mm-hmm. We've seen arrests in Abuja as well, you know, and all of these things going on. Is it enough, really, to deter people? Because what we see, and that's one of the major criticisms, is that we see it on the media. Kela Megwa will talk about it. It will be on channels. It will be on every TV station. It will be on every newspaper. What happens afterwards?
Try to cut.
The processes involved in actually getting justice, actually prosecuting people properly for crimes, in many ways are missing. Because what happens is we see a media hula baloo and everybody is so upset. But then after a few months, this person is back on the streets. And what you hear after that is that it wasn't properly prosecuted. When we take it away from the, we are such a terrible person, such a terrible thing this group of people have done, we're now on the next phase, which is the prosecution. What do you think goes wrong in that area? And how can the Tinubu administration help that? Okay,
let me start from the last. How can the Tinubu administration help that? Like he said throughout his campaign, it is more profitable. It's more profitable to prevent it than, you know, chasing after them after they've committed it. And if you look at all of the reforms so far, you know, they are aimed at blocking all of those loopholes, all of those areas that open us up to this act of corruption. You know, I mean, when that is done properly, you can be guaranteed at least 60-70% of, you know, corruption practices are prevented. Then you go on to going after them. It takes a lot to go after those who have stolen, you know, our commonwealth. And the agencies are doing a good job at it. But then again, it's not just within the presidency or the executive arm of government. You have the judiciary, you know, who, the moment you charge these cases to court, it's entirely in the hands of the judiciary. That's outside of the arm of government that I work for, you know. So I'm really not in a position to speak on that. But I think that when we have a holistic reform, you know, where we have a better understanding of what Nigeria should be, when we have better understanding of what our respective roles should be, you know, then everybody will start, you know, looking at adding value to the common good as against, you know, trying to get as much. I mean, certain amount is being stolen. How much can I get off it and look away the other side? It comes back to hurt all of us. You know, I think we're gradually getting to that point where we are focused. I mean, the Tinubu administration is focused on, you know, shared prosperity, and that comes from fixing the system. Because, you know, like we've seen in most developed countries, if we fix the system is enough to take care of everybody. But we need to fix the system. That is what it is. And if you look at our security challenges, there's been a significant improvement, both in occurrence of you know, security challenges and in the apprehension and neutralizing some of these bad elements in our societies. I mean, there's a lot has been
When the Tinubu administration heard that there was a new terrorist organization, how did you all feel about it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, ahead of it coming to the media, they were, of course, the intelligence had gathered report and they were already acting on that, and I mean, it's like it was discussed at the, ECOWAS heads of military. It's it's about having a leader who means well and ready to do well and knows what to do and is stubborn at getting result. He no noise, no side talks, will derail him from that. He has a job to do. It's it's not the target set for him by Nigerians. It's a target he has set for himself. I mean,
sorry to bring us back to the corruption conversation because it made me remember something former President Olusegun Obasanjo just said recently. He said if we're going to tackle corruption, it has to start at the top. He has to lead by example. In looking at how the Tinubu administration has conducted itself since it came into office, and in the light of all that we're talking about right now, is corruption being fought from the top or from the bottom, in your view?
Yeah, it's being fought from the top. Clearly. Corruption is being fought from the top. Clearly. That's why he's getting result, with all due respect to former President Olusegun Obasanjo, that's why the current president is getting the result that he couldn't get while he was in office. And that's what keeps him up till date, because he couldn't get those results and he knows he should have, but he couldn't. But the person in charge is getting the result. That's why he won't be writing to every other president after him to worry them, because he would have been very satisfied with what he's done with his time.
You don't like the letters?
I don't care about it. I care about what he did while he was in office.
I mean, it is up for debate, isn't it? So it's one of those situations where we wonder.
When you say something, when we say it's up for debate, then it's about, I hear people who praise certain past leaders today. These people who are praising these people were not even around during their time. They didn't even know what it was like during their time. They didn't. Nothing today we are witnessing didn't happen in multiple folds on the negative side during those times. We had an 8 years of, huge opportunity, especially after embracing democracy and all of the goodwill that came with it from the Western world. Consider the fact that the man in question would have been a life president today if his personal agenda had sailed through, third-term agenda. That's a no-no for me. Anybody that was ready to throw away our constitution just to make himself a life president does not have the moral right to speak on any part of the nation, because he was ready to ruin every single thing we stand for just for his own personal growth or his own personal aspiration or his own personal desire. That's not the kind of person I want to take words from, who is ready to sacrifice that of hundreds of millions of people just for his own. I like to look forward to, I respect people who have done a whole lot for the nation, but maybe there are just times to just, sit back and play in your fatherly role that, you really feel you can, if you think you have done the best during your time, and let the other people, take it from there.
Vice President Kashim Shettima was criticized and applauded, so it's both. But those who criticized the vice president for his statements concerning the head of the Conservative Party in the UK, and many people felt like he should have been a little bit more fatherly in the way he addressed that situation, as opposed to how they felt he had expressed himself. And of course, many people have taken that to be the stand, really, of the Tinubu administration, because if the vice president spoke like that, then probably people in government actually feel that way about her. What do you make of that situation? And going forward, because there's been responses after that, talk to us a little bit about that sort of situation and what you think about how it should have been handled on both sides.
I really am proud of, being a Nigerian. I'm proud of being African. I'm proud of being Black. So it is my personal desire to see this country, realize its full potential. And I see millions of Nigerians, home and abroad, who have the same passion. But you know, when anyone, this is not the first time this is coming from Kemi. You know, this is not the first time. You know, she think her growth, you know, comes with disrespecting her origin. Good for her. On the other side, Mr. Vice President, as number 2 citizen of this country, has a responsibility to defend the nation where he feels the nation is being attacked from from anyone at all. And I think he did just that.
What about the thought that he could have been a bit more fatherly when he was, because she is still.
You are father to anyone who is a child. You can't be fatherly to someone who does not see himself or herself as a child.
That I don't see myself as your child doesn't mean I'm not your child.
Not as my child, as a child.
No, just generally, I'm saying as father of the, because you started this conversation, your fatherly role. Fathers have a multitude of children. Some of them are recalcitrant. Some of them are obedient. Some of them are well-mannered. Some of them are poorly mannered. You're father to all of them.
And punitive measures are just in place.
So was this punitive from the vice president then?
I didn't have that discussion with him, so I wouldn't know. But I don't think he did anything wrong. He didn't.
Well, it is a very interesting one. Let's talk a little bit about the party, the All Progressives Congress. You just received a lot of defections into your party. How are you positioning yourself for 2027?
In all honesty, I think the administration is, is more focused on governance. You know, we are leading a reform, you know, that is by every standard unpalatable. You know, change is difficult to bring about. And we're focused on that. President Bola Tinubu is focused on that. We're not looking at 2027 election, but it's okay for the opposition to look at it. I mean, they have nothing doing.
And it's because there are a lot of meetings going on everywhere, breakfast meetings going on across the country. But back to what I said, you have received a lot of defectors
without asking for them.
You didn't ask for them?
There must be something we're doing right that they feel, you know, attracted to come and join us. More are coming.
I mean, it's a very interesting one. We're seeing a lot of criticism of those people, especially from the Labour Party. Very upset with a lot of their members. So that means you were never really a member of this party. You just got into politics. You used us. Is that even something that the APC should be comfortable with, people who ride on the coattails of popularity of another party, come into power and then defect to the ruling party? And are you comfortable with having those kind of people in your ranks?
We have lost some members too, remember? You know, we've had a few persons leave our party to join other parties. Remember, as a matter of fact, the presidential candidate of the main opposition party was once our member, but he was somewhere else before. Then came in 2007, then left. Then came in 2015, then left. So, I mean, we do not expect that every politician is ideological in their approach. However, when we identify certain people, you know, we can say, oh, yes. Let's take it. We have the Progressive Forum in the APC. We have the Emerging Progressive platform in the APC. Then we have a lot of, you know, vibrant young people, you know, who are progressive-minded, who have been in APC for the right reason. And there were people that they followed into the APC, especially the current president, President Bola Tinubu. And if you look at his political journey, he's been consistent with his values. You know, he's demonstrated progressivism. You know, I mean, that is why we are in progressive. I mean, we probably do not have a party that is built on ideology yet, but no party is formed on ideology. You know, yes, you build it. You build it. You don't bring 20 people together, then it's an ideology. No, it probably is a thought, an idea of what's going to happen.
Almost 10 years in government, your party.
The entire
And you're saying it doesn't have an ideology yet?
The entire democratic space, you know, has been 24, 25 years consistent democracy. You know, while that's a lot of time, but every time we compare to developed countries, you're talking about countries that have done nearly 3 centuries.
10 years is too small to have an ideology?
I am saying that the ideology upon which the APC is formed is gradually crystallizing, and that is what is attracting people. Even at that, we're going to lose people, but we realize that the people we are losing are those who never really believed in why they joined us. You asked a question as to why I am worried. So maybe what the other parties should do is to try and do what the APC is doing, right? Have an ideology that whoever comes, they play by that. They understand that. I mean, on your platform, on your TV platform, there are a number of us, over the years that have fought, for the right thing to be done within the political party, the APC, at different times. It were to, prevent a situation where politicians can just jump around. You have it today, you are here, you don't have it tomorrow. You need to have a reason for being there. So I think for real opposition, beyond just trying to scratch around and see how you can put together a team to fight and wrestle power, they should actually, sit down and understand what they are about, then invite like minds to start. That was how APC started. Nothing guarantees them that people are not going to leave, but you'll be sure that the core of the people who are forming it will be those who believe in that. I mean, this party is built on progressivism, and it's shown in the lifespan of our number one citizen, from his joining politics in the 92 all the way to this point. He's been consistent, he's been progressive.
It's an interesting phrase, gradually crystallizing. I actually wrote that down.
Yeah.
Gradually crystallizing.
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to look like? What should it be?
Yeah, I mean, the parties are the form of, just have the Progressive Institute. We know that we're not where we ought to be yet as a party, right? But we are by far better than the rest. And we're not looking at the competition. I've said it time and time again. We're looking at our own target for ourselves. And I think, we're fixing that angle. We have a couple of activities, to get the party to actually own the government. Because at the end of the day, it's the party that will be on the ballot. We want the party to be able to, Do
you think if the elections were next year,
yeah,
do you think President Bola Tinubu would win?
On the APC?
Yes.
Oh, yes, he will. It will be difficult.
You've had members of your party go on public fora, and say, with everything that's going on right now, it doesn't look like...
No, they say it's going to be difficult.
It's going to be difficult.
But what we all know is that no election is ever easy. I don't even need to be...
You think the Nigerian...
I don't need to be...
With everything that Nigerian is going through right now, would vote for President Bola Tinubu if the elections were next year?
Oh, yes.
You think the APC would still win?
Yes. And I'll tell you why.
Yes, tell me why.
I think a lot of people have criticized the presidency or the president for the number of media aids, right? Mm-hmm. In project management, in change management, the most critical ingredient of it is communication. We are at a point where there's, so much distrust between the institution of government and the people. It didn't start now, it has always been there. We look forward to a system where a government will tell you, not just an individual, government will tell you, we are doing this, we're going to do this. And you look at their track record and say, okay, I have reasons to believe. That's going to be built over a period of time. We don't expect Nigerians to just, because there are things we are promising that others have promised in the past. So we understand the distrust, but we equally understand that someone has to do the job to clear that distrust. Someone has to bridge the gap. Someone has to lead the country to a point where we see ourselves as, a collective, where everybody plays. I mean, we might differ on how to do certain things, but we should have a clear and a unified target as to where we want our nation to go, where we want to be. And I think as difficult as things have been, I've met a lot of people, we're constantly engaging online and offline. We just came back from Lagos, we're in Kaduna, I've met a lot of people who understand what's happening, who are happy that we are finally doing this. Of course, they are concerned about this affects us too.
Should there be another cabinet reshuffle? And I'm saying that because we've had 12 grid collapses. And I'm not just calling out the Minister of Power just because I have anything against him. No, it's not. It's not about that. It's that the way we can measure how you're doing your job is what is happening in your sector. So I'm going to give the example of the Minister of Power. 12 grid collapses in 1 year. We don't know if there's going to be another one before the end of the year. Should there be another cabinet reshuffle?
I don't think we should just look at it from that side alone.
Okay.
Right? We understand that when you fight corruption, I mean, if you think those who had this country by the jugular are just going to let go just because you mean well, then you're not ready for the job. That was why people like myself, we pushed, pulled, and did everything possible.
You think the Minister of Power is dealing with corruption, fighting back?
I think the country as a whole is dealing with corruption, fighting back. All the years we're not working, we're feeding some people. There were people who are benefiting from our ineffectiveness, our inefficiency. There were people who were feeding from it. You had private jets everywhere. We had a point where we were exported as much as 2.5 million barrels per day. We were earning so much at a certain period in our national life. What did we do with it? That was the time we had a lot of importation, of finished products, private jets, yachts, the beauty chandeliers, all of them, exotic wines, champagne. What did we think was going to happen? It's definitely going to come to this. But there are people who benefited from that point, whose only way of survival is built on that. But you are trying to fix now and putting them out of market. Expect them to fight back. That's not just in the energy sector, not just in the oil and gas, in the manufacturing, all the sectors. But we have a man in charge who will do what needs to be done to get the result. I can always say, like we said during the campaign, look at Lagos. And I say this, that there are people who live in Lagos today comfortable because of what this man did, but most of them don't even appreciate that. They don't, because they don't know what it was like before he came and before his 24, 25 years of long-term plan that has seen Lagos become, the fifth economy in Africa. I mean, it would have dropped now because of valuation of currency, because of, but we see what's happening there. If from 99 that we embraced this democracy, this fourth republic, if from 1999 till date, if we've had like 6 states that have grown half as much as Lagos has grown, we all won't be where we are.
Let's shift gears a little bit and move into politics in our region, in ECOWAS. The date has been given, but it's a long story. It's a long story, and people do well to actually understand the background of this story of these countries that are leaving the ECOWAS bloc. They want to leave. And that's because they don't believe that ECOWAS is looking into their interests. They have peculiar issues. Many of them are very upset with France. But we've seen a very chummy relationship between President Bola Tinubu and Emmanuel Macron. And then with this date that is given, many people start to wonder about ECOWAS and what it is actually doing. He's the head of the heads of government of ECOWAS. So in many ways, many people are wondering whether ECOWAS has left the role of economic community and started to focus on political community. For many countries who are leaving the bloc, they don't believe that, this organization is looking out for the economy of our people. They're more interested in what kind of government we're running, and that's not their mandate. These decisions of President Bola Tinubu as head of the heads of the government in ECOWAS, are these the right steps to actually grow the economy of this community?
There's a need for clearer understanding as to what his role has been. Most of what Mr. President has done in terms of ECOWAS has been purely protocol. They were laid down protocol by the economic community of West African states. They've not been his personal decision. They are laid down protocol. I mean, the extension by 6 months is even outside that, if we are being honest. Mm-hmm. This is still a demonstration of the desire for us to be together. But I'll tell you something. Most of these countries, they have no idea what pulling out of ECOWAS could do to their economy. But the people who make decisions will not be the most affected when it happens. Nigeria bleeds out to these nations, right? Selfishly, a lot of people will say, close the borders. Let's take care of ourselves. And that'll pay us more. But being like an elder brother in this community, and the president being the, like you said, the heads of the heads, still have to give room for negotiation. We have ECOWAS banks, ECOWAS institutions, all across these people. If these people are going, there's so much that's going to hit them that they don't know, based on you no longer have the rights to this, you no longer have the rights to this, you don't have, a lot of their citizens are going to be affected, but I doubt
what's their major loss by leaving ECOWAS?
Their economy will take a hit, serious hit. Serious hit.
Because of the trade between the community?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'll tell you, I'm from the north. The sheer amount of informal trade that happened between around the Sokoto, the Maiduguri, all of those ones, and the neighboring countries, is to our loss as a nation, but it's to their gain. As we speak right now, the country is producing more in terms of agriculture, in terms of intervention of the current government in agriculture. A lot more is being produced than we've ever produced in the past years. But because of the current, exchange rate, we found out that a lot of these neighboring communities, neighboring countries, are coming in to clean out a lot of, this farm produce illegally, anyways. Because there are a list of things that are not meant for export. Especially not the ones that get the input from the government. The essence of government intervening in this is to make it easier, but we have tens, hundreds of trailers, on hourly basis moving out. There's a whole lot in the government system that needs to be fixed. But if we're going to have, a community of these states working together for, improved economic activities within the region, then they're moving away. It's not in their interest, because once all those privileges are taken away from them as membership, that comes to their membership, it's going to hit hard.
The relationship with France is behind a lot of the problems in the region, especially with these particular countries that have military juntas now and have decided to leave the bloc. And that issue with France that they have, it's their country. They say, we don't like this influence. Senegal is about to move in that direction, maybe not going to a military junta, but basically reducing France's influence on their countries and trying to own their economies again. And that brings me back to the question I asked, which is that this is an economic community of West African states. They're saying, we need our economy back. And ECOWAS doesn't seem to be standing behind us. So they're moving away and doing all kinds of things. I'm asking again, the decisions, I know you said that what President Bola Tinubu at least has been doing as head of the heads of ECOWAS is that he's basically following the protocol. In the conversations, because they have closed door meetings. There have been meetings of the ministers of defense. We give a lot of money. In fact, we saw that applause being given to Nigeria. We're the ones who give the money, for all of these needs in the region. We're paying. We understand that. But the decisions that are made behind closed doors that affect the economies of these countries that belong to our economic bloc, I'm stating that categorically because ECOWAS is about economy. It's not about politics. Are you certain that we're not moving away as members of ECOWAS and as the head of the heads of ECOWAS? Are we certain that we're not gradually moving away from the economic question and beginning to focus on the political question, criticizing the governments that have taken power in these countries?
Now let's get something right, like general knowledge. There is no way you put economy above politics. It's not possible. If you don't sort your politics, you can't sort your economics. If your politics is not, look around the world. The most economically developed countries are the most politically stable countries, right? You've got to be politically stable. And you're talking about the ECOWAS moving in the direction of politics, and the organization of the West African economics already is an act of politics in itself. So you can't run away from that. And let's get it that, I see what they mean. I see what they want. There's valid points. There are valid points in their claim. But was there a consensus? Was there a referendum? Was this done by the entire population of each of this country? A few people. We've witnessed similar thing in our country, in our history, where a few people felt aggrieved by the way certain people in power are doing things, then take arms, and we can't condone illegal means of attaining power as a nation. Do you understand? It would be hypocritical for us to celebrate democracy. I mean, look at Ghana. Look, like Mr. President rightly said, that is the way to do it. John Mahama was outside contesting at some point. He won. He was there when he lost. He went out. He's won again. It shows that leave the choices to the people. Let the people be the ones to make the choice of who lead them and how. It isn't anything as ECOWAS being political. ECOWAS cannot clap for a wrong approach and embrace it just because of it's supposed to be economic. The organization itself is political. And there is nothing right now that has been proven to be a better way that humans can manage themselves in societies other than democracy. We have to. It's not going to be perfect, but it's still the best option out there. They've got to imagine. We are in power now. I see people who believe they can take us out of power. Let that happen through the polls. We came in by taking a government in power in 2015. It happened through the polls. It wasn't by arms. So whatever it is, before we talk about how looking at the other, let's start from the most important part. The ECOWAS can't sit back and encourage this. What happens if a set of people tomorrow feel like what these guys are doing? I mean, if you follow their story, you've heard about several coup attempts, even within that. If it's so rosy, why are there so many coup attempts? I'm not by any way supporting neocolonialism. I'm totally against it. But I'm equally aware that as a nation, as a continent, we don't live in isolation. We have to be, integrated into the global community. It means we're going to have dealings with other people. These people have advantages over us that we don't. We're going to have relationship with them. And that's why you see a lot of times Mr. President is traveling abroad, because there's a whole lot more we can get from abroad, adding to what we have here. You need to meet with these global leaders. You need to tell them what your plans are for your country. You need to tell them where you need their help from. You need to tell them how you've changed the way you used to do things. You need to tell them their perception of you is changed because you are changing how you're doing things. You want them to see you differently. These conversations are all going all of his international trips. Every time he's the chief marketing officer of the country, he's going around talking to businessmen from countries who are almost always at these meetings, talking to presidents, talking to heads of states.
We are almost out of time.
So it is clear that as far as ECOWAS is concerned, there are fundamental principles that were laid down for the formation of ECOWAS. What makes you a member nation? These ones have been breached, but out of brotherly love, conversation is still ongoing. You are aware of that. I'm aware of that. Mr. President and all the other heads within the region are still talking to these people and looking for ways to bring them back into the fold.
We have just a minute to wrap up, but before we go, I know, that was fast, wasn't it? But before we go, if you could talk to the Nigerian right now, as the budget is being passed, as everything that's happening right now continues to happen, just what should they look forward to from the All Progressives Congress and from the Tinubu administration in 2025? Just in 1 minute, if you can.
I think the government led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is aware of the difficulty we've all been through. But I think in a couple of months to come, we look back and be proud of ourselves, not just the president, but ourselves as a nation, to have gone through. This is some sort of collective investment towards our shared prosperity. Every single Nigerian that has gone through this one way or another will have reason, to appreciate the goods that come out of it at the end of the day. The mindset that a lot of people have about government having to build a nation for the people. No, the people build a nation and they select who should govern them at different times. This is, we've done a whole lot of things wrongly in the past. But you see, when it comes to the economics of how, developed nations have done, there were things that we're doing that will never take us towards that direction. But we're reversing that now. And the process of doing that has brought about this temporary pain. But the gains are going to be permanent and it's going to be collective. So we look forward. There are a lot of initiatives of the government, for small businesses, for skills acquisition, capital injection. All of this will yield desired results, and we all need to believe that, look forward to how to improve our individual lives by, looking at what the opportunity brings and tapping into it, and we'll build ourselves our desired nation.
Mr. Aliyu Audu, thank you so much for being with us on Political Paradigm, and good luck with all the work I know you have ahead of you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that is Political Paradigm this week. Please join the conversation using our website, channelstv.com. Leave your comments there, respectfully, of course, and join us as we continue to ask the accountability question until it is answered. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.